What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason, Joe, and Crams are here, and today we are talking about Audioslave, a band that I don't know that we've talked about at all on this channel, really. Their debut record came out 20 years ago this week, 2002, for those of you bad at math. It's a record that I owned. I listened to it a lot back then. This was just before I got into a lot more kind of indie stuff, so I was still into like the modern rock kind of stuff they were playing on the radio. I listened to this one a lot. I listened to their second record a lot. I think my brother had their third record, so I heard that one too. But just revisiting it today, talking about what it meant at the time, this kind of supergroup, and whether or not it's held up at all over the years. Thoughts on Audioslave?
I think it holds up as like a last gasp. Like I still really enjoy it. I don't think they have a great album, but like if you literally picked up, let's say Chris Cornell never passed away and was just like had disappeared for the last 22 years, and then you re-released Audioslave today as a brand new album, I'd be like, this is really cool. This is like throwback, just hard rock, no nonsense in your face. That's how I felt about it then, and that's how I feel about it now. I think it's really good, simple hard rock with a great frontman. He doesn't sound nearly as good on this album, and I don't even think it has a lot to do with his vocal performance. I think some of the first Audioslave album and the other ones as well, he's just kind of mixed, really muddy. Like, there's no way he sounds so good on Euphoria Morning and then like takes this big of a step back for me vocally in 3 years difference. There's just no way. So, I think it's really good hard rock. I love them coming out with that video, like on top of the building with the fireworks and all that, and just being like, cymbals crash, guitar riffs, let's go. For what it is, I liked it a lot, and I think right now we could use some of it.
Well, I remember where I was when I first heard the album, released a bunch of songs from it. I was listening to 1059 The X, and on Edge of the X every Sunday night, they would play songs, new tracks that weren't necessarily out yet, some album cuts. So they're playing like a bunch of songs from this album. I had heard Cochise because like Ramsey said, the video ruled. It's just them on this giant tower with fireworks blasting all around. And Chris Cornell sounds terrible. And that kind of threw me off because I friggin' love Soundgarden. I love Euphoria Morning. I loved it at that time. I was so excited. Okay, Chris Cornell, one of the great voices of the age, teaming up with Rage Against the Machine, one of the hardest hitting, rock groups ever. Just the rhythm section alone. Tom Morello's going to do some weird stuff. I was like, there's no way this can be not, less than excellent. And it's not. It's not even close to living up to either Soundgarden's legacy, Rage Against the Machine's legacy, Chris Cornell's, legacy as a vocalist. And I just remember being pretty disappointed in general. I mean, I like some of the songs. Everybody likes Like a Stone. It's cool. But songs like I'm the Highway, kind of lame. Cornell's lyrics, I mean, they're never like the strongest suit from him, but I just wasn't impressed by any single aspect of what was going on here. I probably liked it a little bit more back then, but listening to it now again, it's just like, this just didn't have a point. It was produced poorly. Rick Rubin screwed it all up. The vocals were bad. The coolest moments are Tom Morello's, weird guitar playing, but even that, like, it just, everybody just took a step down from what they were already doing. And this was really before I knew about like supergroups. So like, I didn't realize that almost all supergroups suck. So I was like, oh my God, a supergroup? Like, that's gonna be so cool. I was so naive. And yeah, it just didn't work. It did not work.
I'm with you on Chris Cornell. I remember the first time I heard Cochise on the radio before the record was out, and I was like, wait, I thought Chris Cornell was singing for this band. What happened? Like, I still don't even think it sounds like him at all. It sounds like a completely different person. I think it sounds horrible. They would have been better with almost any other singer. I think his vocals on this record are trash, but I do think the Rage Against the Machine contributions are pretty solid. I think the rhythm section on this is pretty cool. They lay down some pretty tight grooves. And I think Morello's playing is pretty adventurous. I think his solos on this are really great. I think his playing on this is more interesting than on the Rage stuff. And then I think on the future Audioslave records, it's even crazier. He gets like the shreddiest he ever got on some of the subsequent Audioslave records, and relies less on the kind of sound effect and like guitar trickery stuff. And he just straight up cuts loose and shreds some. So I think Morello's cool. I think some of the songwriting's okay. The grooves are cool. Hypnotize has a really cool groove. It's almost like this trip hoppy, funky thing. It's really different. That one also has another crazy solo. But yeah, I just think the vocals are a huge letdown. And I also think taking a band like Rage Against the Machine, which were so like politically motivated, and then suddenly doing something that's not at all, it just feels less important, and it just feels less vital. And I don't know, just nothing. It doesn't quite get to that level of greatness that you would hope. And why does nobody ever talk about how bad Chris Cornell sounds during Audioslave? It's like taboo to mention or something, but he sounds like absolute garbage on these records.
I don't think it's garbage. I mean, when you know what he can do, like I said, like Euphoria Morning was just 3 years before this. I don't think it's his fault. I think if you look at live performances of this, it still sounds good. So I don't think it's his fault. I think the songwriting is pretty solid. I like a Stone a lot. I like I Am the Highway. I like Hypnotize. I like What You Are. Like, it's not great. Can't believe I'm coming off sounding like the one that likes this the most. But, like none of these are even 4 stars albums. But like it was fine. Like there are far worse rock bands. They're way better than Greta Van Fleet, for Christ's sake. But like, and I'm shocked Jason has any praise for Tom Morello. For the last 20 years, I grew up with Jason as a young adult, just knowing you hated Tom Morello. I don't know what's going on. Shut up. You are lying. You used to hate him.
I didn't used to hate him. You were misinformed.
Bullshit. You used to hate him.
The 2005 Audioslave album in 2005, when we were getting to know each other, was in my top 5 albums of the year, or in my top 10 at least. So I don't know where you're getting that.
It's not that this is a horrible album. It's just in no way lives up to the legacy that these people, Chris Cornell and Tom Morello and Tim Comerford and Brad Welk had established. And it can't. Like, maybe I'm being too hard on it because you can't live up to that legacy. I mean, just rock was dead at this point. So for the time, it was okay, but a disappointment nonetheless overall.
I'll take Chad Kroeger over this version of Chris Cornell.
Oh my god. Wow.
I think he sounds so bad.
Put that in the title.
Not only does he not sound great, but he sounds like he's in pain. It sounds like there's something wrong with his vocal cords and he's struggling to get through every note.
He does get a little bit better because he's much better on the Bond soundtrack that he did. And I feel like he's better on his solo albums later as well, and on the Soundgarden album later. So I don't know what the hell's going on in 2002 to 2007, or however long this band existed, but something was off.
I mean, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think, All Night Thing from Temple of the Dog is like one of the greatest male vocal performances ever. Like, you can't even recognize him compared to that on Audioslave, but I don't think it's entirely his fault.
Well, let us know what you think. Happy 20th anniversary to the Audioslave.
We're a lot nicer even today than the critics were at the time. So
probably, for the record, probably a 3-star record for me. Maybe even inching towards 3.5 because there are some pretty nasty grooves on there.
Probably same.
It's a weak 3.5 or a strong 3. But let us know what you think. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.